What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about caffeine and performance. So when most people think of caffeine, they just think it's a stimulant that gives them more energy, when actually it's a bit more complicated than that, and there are three main mechanisms through which caffeine changes things. So the first thing is caffeine actually blocks adenosine in your brain, so adenosine cannot bind onto certain receptors into your brain and make you feel tired. So by blocking them, you feel less tired. That's what it does. By blocking adenosine, it also helps you feel more stimulated, so that's where most people get that idea of stimulation from. How it does this is it lowers your perceived exertion rates by increasing endorphins in your brain, so you feel less tired and less exerted and a bit more like you've got a bit more energy and a bit more go and a little bit happier, so you tend to do a little bit better in your workout if you have some caffeine. The next mechanism is a metabolic mechanism, and this is increased adrenaline output, so it means your adrenaline levels are going up when you take caffeine. So what does this actually mean? It means that there are more free fatty acids being used for energy as opposed to using glycogen stores in the muscle for energy. So in the same way that HIIT workouts tend to help encourage us to pull on fat stores, it utilises that fatty acid system more than it would utilise your glycogen system, so you can get a bit more of a fat burning effect or that fight or flight fat burning effect, which in turn can then lead to increased performance. So the third mechanism is a muscular mechanism, and this is thought to be due to increased calcium metabolism in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So without getting too sciencey, all that means is it improves contractile force. So what is contractile force? It's how well your muscles contract and produce force. So your muscle contractions into workout may be slightly better if you supplement with caffeine. So what does this mean? It means that if you supplement with caffeine, you will have greater workout performance in terms of volume. You may be able to do more volume, you may be able to do more reps total, so more AMRAP, or as many reps as possible, you may get more out of that, and you may see possible strength improvements too. The studies are a bit all over the place on that, but there is some evidence to suggest that it does increase strength performance, so I'll link that study if you want to read it. There is a small downside to using caffeine that you may be aware of, and that is that the effects of using caffeine tend to diminish over time. So the initial buzz sensation that you felt when you probably first drank some coffee or first had an energy drink, that tends to go away with time, and I think we can all agree that we felt that. So the more you take, the more you're going to build up a tolerance to it, and the less it's going to work over time. This can be improved by taking washout periods or times when you cycle off caffeine, because caffeine is technically a drug, it's a stimulant, so you have to take time off it every now and then go back to it in order to feel the same effects again. So how much caffeine do we need to take in order to get the performance effects? So at the moment it looks like it's about 3 to 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilo of body weight. So that may sound like quite a lot for some of you, or not that much for other people. So for me, for example, I weigh about 55 kilos, so if we do 3 times 55 and then 6 times 55, we get 165 milligrams as my lower threshold and 220 milligrams as my upper threshold. And it's worth noting that the effects of caffeine tend to cap out at about 9 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So don't go above 9 milligrams per kilo of body weight. So to put this into perspective, most pre-workout supplements only have about 200 milligrams of caffeine in them. At the most about 300 if you pay for a really high-powered one. So if that was me, I'd need about 220, so I'd be okay with 1 scoop of pre-workout. But if you're a lot bigger than me, as I'd imagine some people are if you're watching this that are male, then that 1 scoop of pre-workout is not going to be anywhere near enough for you. You'd be looking at more like 2 scoops of pre-workout. And the same applies for caffeine tablets. These are about 100 to 200 milligrams per tablet, so there may not be enough in 1 tablet of caffeine to get the effects for you. So the best time to take caffeine as a performance enhancer would be pre-workout, so this is going to be about 15 to 30 minutes before your workout, so it has time to get into your system and get going. So now you know the threshold of where you need to be in order to get the effects. I don't mean for everyone to just go out now and do 9 milligrams of caffeine per kilo of body weight and take absolutely loads of caffeine before their workout, because that would be pretty irresponsible and a bit stupid. So what you actually need to do is look at what your range is, and then decide where your tolerance to caffeine actually is, because some of you will have higher tolerance than others, and then adjust accordingly and take the amount that you need in order to get the stimulation. Don't just go straight to the top of the thing and expect amazing results, because there are downsides to taking very high dosages of caffeine. Some of those, for example, are GI or gastrointestinal upset or distress, and anxiety or jitters. Caffeine also has a half-life of around 4 to 6 hours. So this means that if you take 200 milligrams at 12 o'clock in the day, by about 4 p.m, half of that so 100 milligrams of caffeine is still circulating around in your bloodstream. So this means that if you're going to take something like 400 milligrams of caffeine as your pre-workout, and you're going to work out at 4 and take that at 3, that's still going to be circulating around in your bloodstream when you're trying to go to sleep that night. So that's not ideal. So what I would recommend is do not take any caffeine for pre-workout purposes or stimulation purposes for workouts after about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and this is going to depend on when you go to sleep as well. So if you go to sleep earlier, you may not want to take it after 12 p.m, but if you go to sleep later, you may be okay to take it by 2 p.m. at the latest. Another small tidbit of information is the response to caffeine tends to be better if you take it in pill or powder form as opposed to taking it as coffee form. And the only other thing worth mentioning is that there is no link at the moment between caffeine and dehydration, so caffeine does not cause dehydration, so you do not need to worry about that. So if you want to put that all into a bit more perspective, I will chuck an image up on the screen here showing the amount of milligrams of caffeine in common drinks, so you can get an idea of how much you might be currently consuming and whether or not you need to increase it to get the performance benefits. So I hope you found this helpful, guys. If you did learn something today, feel free to give me a thumbs up, because that really does help share the videos around more people and we can help more people reach their fitness goals. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.